Whoop, never mind. Never mind. So I'm not I'm a sleeper. Let's see, and whoop. Oh, I hope the camera caught that. Timothy Lawrence. Ow. I don't know how I'm gonna get him down from there because I'm short. This is terrible. I was trying to weigh him, and he jumped out of my hands because he's a maniac man.
Yes, he is. Hello, sir. Come here.
I had to call in the very tall reinforcements.
Come here, stinky man. Yes. It's okay, little boy.
Stinky!
He's calm now.
Yeah, because he got all this running out.
Oh, that's very good. You ready to get weighed now? Are you done?
He's done. He's going back in his cage, in his container.
Okay.
Alright, now that Timothy has been recaptured, thanks to my lovely fiance, if you ever hear me say our collection or referring to something like that, she's the other part of the we/our. Alright, going back to the crested geckos. This is one of the two lizards who started our reptile collection. This is Dirge. We've had Dirge since 2011, so 9 years now. Let's see, today he weighs about 33 grams. Whoop! So a little more roughly than Timmy. The crested gecko tail weighs about 10 to 12 grams. So you can expect a tailless crested gecko or a frog butt to be 10 to 12 grams less than one who has a tail. Timmy was, I think, about 40, so he's about 30 without his tail. Dirge here is a little bit bigger. This guy never got too big. Him and his brother, who you'll meet in a minute, is Thrust. We cohabbed them for a really long time, and I think that's why they're both kind of scrawny for males. They were competing for food, even though they weren't actually fighting, they were still competing for resources and they were stressed out. So they're kind of, I wouldn't call them stunted, but they're on the small side. I think they're always going to be, even though they've been living separately for a while now. And that was because we made the mistake of cohabbing them and thinking that just because they weren't fighting, they were doing fine. But again, I kind of peek at his toesies and everything. Looks like he's doing okay. I always check his mouth. Sometimes it gets like crusty and stuck together. I've had it checked out a couple times to make sure it's not an infection or something. It does not appear to be. It's just a weird quirk of Dirge. Sometimes I have to go in with like a Q-tip and kind of clean it up and take some crusts off, but it looks like he's doing okay right now. Alright, next up will be Thrust, who, like I said, is the other kind of beginning of our reptile collection. We're fairly certain that Thrust and Dirge are clutch mates, because we bought them at the same time from the same store, but we don't 100% know for sure, of course. Come here, Thrusties. Oh, you're gross. Whoop! Hi. Alright, and he is at 30 grams. He's almost always just a little bit lighter than his brother. No Frusties. No Frusties. Last but not least is Blackout. Hi, handsome. You want to come here? Hi. And Blackout's at 42, so he is also a good solid weight. He's got a real nice tail. You can see it's real thick, got some good deposits on it. He is, temperament-wise, probably my favorite. He's a good-looking gecko. Alright, I'm going to put him back in his container, and that wraps it up for our crested geckos. Bud. I know. Here you go. Yeah, stop licking that tail at me. Put it down. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, everybody's done. Alright, next up on the list is Sleeper, who again you guys have met plenty of times. He's my Ackie monitor, Varanus acanthurus. One of the dwarf monitor species that you can get, and an incredible animal to keep. He's a little cranky right now though, because I've had him out of his cage for a bit, getting ready for doing this video. Come on, buddy. So, to do him, I am gonna use this container, even though he climbed right out of it. Come on, turn back on. Okay. Hey, nose taker. Just need you to go down in here. About 150. I don't worry about checking sleep work quite as closely as some of my other reptiles when I have them out, because I have him out all the time to interact with, so I know when he's starting to have an issue, and right now he's in the middle of a shed, so he kind of looks like crap anyway. He's a good boy. Let's take a peek. Yeah. Oh, I see your footy. You're ready to go back in your cage, aren't you, bud? Yeah. Alright, let me put you back in here for right now so you don't squiggle away. Absolutely incredible animal. I've got plenty of videos out of him eating and doing all kinds of things. Go check him out. He's probably the most engaging pet that I own in terms of all these reptiles. Alright, now I have got a couple of critters left, and they are our snakes. I've got at least one video about Yofi, our Taiwan beauty. Actually, I've got a couple, I think, of Yofi, our Taiwan beauty. Up on the channel already, and I think I have one about Yig as well, so if you've been looking at the other videos on my channel, you've already met both of these guys, but I'm going to go ahead and, get them weighed. Okay, here is Yig, my ball python, 1298, 1,298 grams right now. He is down about 100 since the last time I weighed him, but I'm not worried about that. He hasn't eaten since October. And he was fat. He still is kind of overweight. He's a little on the chunky side for a ball python. So I'm not worrying too much about him having lost 100 grams, because that's kind of the point of the food strike. For these guys, if they're doing a food strike like across winter, it's usually because they just don't need to eat anything. And ball pythons in captivity have a tendency to be overfed and get really, really chunky. So he's down a little bit, not anything that I'm worried about. Come here, big guy. So yeah, I don't know how well you guys can see, but he's pretty round in cross section. When I put him down on the table, he's got a little bit of kind of flab going on. When he makes a tight curl, he's got some fat rolls. He's not dangerously obese like you might see some ball pythons getting. You can tell they're starting to get dangerously obese when you put them down on a hard surface and there's actually a dip into where their spine is, which he doesn't have, but he should be a little more triangular in cross-section than this. So he is still on the fat side for a ball python, but he's not too bad. He's getting there, and he hasn't eaten yet since, like I said, since October, so it's been about 5 months, and we'll see when he's ready to break his fast. I'll kind of wait till I see him starting to be looking for food. He really isn't yet. He's just been kind of hanging out in his hide for a while. Just shed recently, which was nice to see. I was looking real good because of that. He's my good guy. And I've had Mr. Yig here about 4 years, I think. Got him as a little teeny tiny baby. He weighed like 70 grams when I got him. And I put a lot of work into working with him. Socializing him, handling him, and he had a good temperament to start with. So those two things, both his kind of base temperament and the work that I put into him, has resulted in this very, very cool, very chill snake, who I trust a lot. I like to get him out and handle him. He can kind of wander around, like I'll let him down on the floor and kind of let him wander around and explore as long as I'm paying attention to him, that kind of thing. Not free roaming or anything like that, obviously, but, and he's not terribly head shy, which is great. He'll let me kind of grasp his head and take a look at it, as long as I don't, come at him from the front or too fast. And that's always a good trait to develop in a snake, because it makes it easy to, treat them if they were to get sick or if they needed any medicine or anything. I know I can grasp his head, without having to worry about getting struck at. So if I ever needed to get any medicine in him, I would be able to. Hey, bud, you're being real good. You're being real good. Okay, I'll put you back in here for now. Alright, and last but not least is Yofi, the Taiwan beauty rat. Yofi is about 1.5 years old. She's an Asian rat snake. Was real teeny tiny when we got her. She's a lot bigger now. She's been growing like crazy, which is always real satisfying when you're a snake keeper. And you're going to be surprised how long she is when I get her out of here. Hi, Miss V. Come here, princess. Hi, princess. Alright. 364 grams. This is how much snake was in that little ball. Isn't that crazy? She's got to be, I know. Easily 4.5 feet long now. Taiwan beauties can get pretty big for colubrids. She may make it all the way up to 7 or 8 feet long since she's a female, which I think would be super cool, personally. Like I said, she's not even 2 years old. She's already at 4.5 feet, which is fantastic. Fantastic growth, very encouraging. I try to feed her reasonably so that she's getting enough to eat and grow at a good pace without power feeding her. I did that with Yig in the beginning. I fed him too much, too fast. He got fat and has been kind of fat since. Obesity in captive reptiles is a really big concern. A lot of people don't really understand what a reptile with an appropriate body shape looks like. So you see it really common in crested geckos, in captive snakes like ball pythons and corn snakes, in bearded dragons and Ackie monitors, and any kind of reptile that can be kept. They tend to obesity. I think that's a combination of, like I said, people not really knowing what the ideal body shape is, and part of it is people overfeeding. A lot of people think you need to feed your captive reptile every day, or every other day. That may not be necessary. Obviously do your research for your own animal and the stage of its life. Young animals need to eat more than adult animals, for example. But chances are, if you have a pet reptile, it may not need to eat every day. The Ackie and the crested geckos, the skinks, I feed all of them only every 3 days, honestly. And I think it keeps them at a healthier, whoa! Miss Thing! I think it keeps them at a healthier body shape for the most part. We're not going to talk about Amit or Critta, who are both a little chunky, but that's very common for female reptiles to chunk up more than males as well, because their bodies need those resources for making the eggs and producing the offspring. I think that's all I've got right now. I hope everybody's doing okay out there. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed getting to meet my collection. These are 10 reptiles currently. These are the 10 we've had for a while. I don't anticipate getting any more anytime soon. We don't really have enough room in our house, and I think part of being a responsible reptile caretaker is being aware of your limitations, knowing how much room you have and how many animals you can reasonably take care of. So these are our guys for right now, so if you want to put a subscribe on my channel, I'm going to try and keep making and posting videos about them, so you can see what it's like to kind of live with this cool collection of creatures. Thank you so much for tuning in. Leave a comment, let me know if you like this video. Thank you and goodbye.